Hello and welcome back to the Calorie Deficit University podcast. My name is Alexis. I'm the show's host, and today we have another riveting educational episode about food, which has been largely the topic these days. But today we are going to be talking about what you should be eating to lose weight and live a healthy life. When coaching, okay, I find that people don't really want their diet to change at all, which I understand, okay? It can be very hard to change your food routine when you are used to really just eating whatever you want, eating whatever you crave, but largely having your food desires and habits impacted by other apparatuses, okay? Our food habits are largely shaped by our upbringing, and the media we consume. Really, truly. And the third one I would kind of pop in there is your education, okay? Dietary guidelines and recommendations today that we're going to be going over of what you should be eating to lose weight, to live a healthy life, okay? These aren't my opinions. I think a lot of people on the podcast think that these are my opinions. Listen, if it were my opinion, I wouldn't be telling you this. Like, if it were my world, it wouldn't be this. But it is what it is. We have to accept the science. And that's what I'm going to be talking to you about today. I will give you the dietary overview. These recommendations come from USDA. This is the official guideline. This is what every dietary professional is going to be giving you. And if they aren't, they are a crook and a liar, and you should not listen to them at all, okay? What I love the most about the USDA's dietary guidelines and recommendations is their new slogan is, get this, make sure every bite counts, which to me, that's like what my slogan should be for the Calorie Deficit University is not make sure every bite counts, but every bite surely does count, okay? Because it does. Every calorie count, every macronutrient, micronutrient, every bit of fiber that you're consuming, it counts. Your body does indeed keep the score. If you've read that book, it's interesting, but there's some issues with it too. Okay, but every bite counts. All of these resources that I'm about to, these conclusions and gibs and gabs are from today, are free and available. You can also find good resources on My Plate. That is the other dietary guideline and recommendation. It's like a customizable way to plan your food and your meal based on the USDA's recommendations. I'll link them in the podcast episode, but we're going to summarize them here because that's what it's for, okay? That's what the podcast is for, is educational summary, okay? But I am going to save that information, like to go through it, for the latter part of the episode because it's, for a lot of people, the boring part of the episode, because I know you guys are probably not interested in the nerdy little science bits of it all, which is totally okay. So I'm going to start by going over a very, and I have to say, very general recommendation for food that you could consume to achieve your goals, which most people's goals are being healthy, having lean muscle mass, and managing their body composition, so managing a healthy weight, okay? But then I will get into specifics that are backed by science as well. So for most women, they are going to have to diet around, to lose weight, okay, diet to lose excess body fat, diet around 1,400 calories, so 1,400 calories, or 1,650, so 1,650 calories or so to lose body fat. Obviously, that will vary about a lot of things. Your exercise, your overall movement, your lean body mass, your body fat percentage, your height, your age. But that's kind of the range we are looking at for most average women in this country today. For men, they are going to be dieting around 2,000 to 2,300 calories. Again, that's a deficit. Those are both deficit examples. These calories seem low because they are. This is based on the average movement, or I would say lack thereof, that most people do. Those calorie amounts are not for a sedentary lifestyle. That's what's crazy. That's for like a moderate lifestyle. So that's someone who's maybe getting a little bit of activity consistently. So most people who are actually largely sedentary would need to be eating even less than that, which is really quite sad. The reality is we do not need large food amounts to exist, which is a great thing. If we needed extreme, excessive, large caloric amounts, energy amounts to exist, humans would have been extinct from famine a very long time ago. What we need is to change what we eat, because a lot of people don't eat a lot of food. They just eat a lot of calories. So we need to consume different food. So what can that look like? Okay. For a lot of people, they are going to have to completely and totally change what they're eating. I'm going to pull up kind of something that I work on for my clients to give you guys a little bit of an example. So for a lot of people, they're going to need to eat like a pre-workout, right? Because you don't want to go into your exercise without any energy. So for some people, this can look like a rice cake with some almond butter and banana. That's going to be easily quick digestible carbs. You could do some sourdough bread with honey. You could do an oats and berry protein bowl. For a lot of people who have a higher calorie requirement, that's great to get in some protein first thing in the morning as well, if that's when you're doing your workouts. Another good option are some dates with almond butter and dark chocolate. All of those things are healthy, have healthy fats, healthy carbs, with the protein too in the oats, and also have fiber. None of those items are considered ultra processed items, okay? Most of them have whole food sources. So things that you would have to double check would be like with the sourdough and the almond butter, that they are using whole food ingredients in those things. And the dark chocolate as well. Breakfast. For a lot of people, eggs are a primary part of the diet. They're expensive these days, but doing an egg omelet, so with eggs, egg whites, and maybe a protein shake and some fiber toast on the side, for some fiber bread. We could also add vegetables and avocado for this if you need some more healthy dietary fat. Another good breakfast option would be cottage cheese on some fiber toast with tomatoes, basil. Another good option would be a protein chia seed pudding with fruits and nuts. That would be great, really balanced, and help you stay full for a long time. Lunch, or the first full meal, could be a chicken, rice, and veg bowl with like avocado, beans, lime, cheese, whatever you want to do. That's a big recommendation from both the USDA and the MyPlate, is having a diverse amount of vegetables in your meals. So you could also do a simple sandwich with the fiber bread, maybe multigrain sourdough bread with turkey that is not a traditional deli meat turkey, because traditional deli meats do have high carcinogens. So you would want to try and go with something that has either no carcinogens, like a nitrate free, or you could slice and make your own. You could do some low-fat cheese, vegetables, and a side of fruit. You could also add avocado to that as well for your healthy fats if you need that for your dietary recommendations. Good option would be like a turkey chicken wrap with veggies, hummus. You could also do any of these options with tempeh or tofu or chickpeas or lentils or beans. You could do a buffalo chicken wrap with maybe a carb balanced tortilla, plain non-fat Greek yogurt. For dinner, we would want to see some lean ground beef. Yes, regularly. Lean ground beef is incredibly nutrient dense. Sweet potato, Parmesan cheese is a great high protein cheese to include in your diet. egg, a side of veg, and you can add avocados for fats if needed there. A carne asada bowl, so where you could take beef, potatoes, salsa, avocado, non-fat Greek yogurt instead of sour cream, low-fat cheese. Number 3, you could do like a shrimp taco situation with cabbage, slaw, plain non-fat Greek yogurt, shrimp. Again, the Mexican bowl is really recommended because you can do like your chicken, your beans, your cabbage, salsa, plain non-fat Greek yogurt, and really get a lot of diversity in the micronutrients in that meal. Another great meal option would be like a zucchini shrimp situation with Parmesan cheese, and then a fortified nutrient like protein pasta. For snacks, you could do non-fat Greek yogurt bowls with berries and protein granola. You just want to make sure that granola has whole food nutrients in it. So like flax seeds, oats, pepita seeds, honey, things like that. You could do a protein pudding bowl with fruit, a protein bar even, the good ones that are like whey based, so Bearbell protein bar, and even the Built Puff protein bar is really good too. So those are the things that you would really want to consider for your meal times, okay? In protein shakes, fat-free milks, I mentioned cottage cheese, yogurt, all of those things are really great protein sources as well. Is it really just as simple as that? Everything you listed, all the fruit, all the veg, lean meats, dairies. Is it really just as simple as that? Yes. Yeah, it really is. But really the issue is that you need to assess your food. Does that consumption happen and look like that 7 days a week? Okay. Some honorable mentions, I will say, for supplementation to that diet would be creatine, electrolytes, magnesium, vitamin D, and fish oil. Those are all backed by really great peer-reviewed, evidence-based research that is good to support you in your overall diet. And I would also say maybe like a fiber supplementation like psyllium husk or something like that. The core elements, and this is picking directly from the USDA information and guide, the core elements that make up a healthy dietary pattern are vegetables of all types, fruits, grains, dairy, protein, and oils. We want to see dark green, red, and orange in your vegetables and your fruits, beans, peas, lentils, starchy things like potatoes, whole fruit, berries, whole grains, fat-free milk, yogurt, cheese, lean meats, poultry, eggs, seafood, nuts, seeds, soy products. Yeah, soy products. Like edamame and different things like that, vegetable oil, and oil in food. Yes, vegetable oil is good for you. It's anti-inflammatory when consumed in appropriate amounts. We want to limit added sugars, saturated fat, sodium, and alcoholic beverages. Okay, now here's the rub, because when people come to me and they say, well, yeah, that's what I eat, okay? That's what I eat all the time. I'm still unhealthy. I'm still overweight, and I don't know what's wrong with me. And this is how I eat, and I follow all those recommendations, and that's it. Here's the rub. You don't. Less than 10% of calories per day starting at age 2 should come from added sugars. That's the recommendation. For saturated fat, less than 10% of your daily caloric amount should come from saturated fat starting at age 2. For sodium, which we have a huge sodium issue. Way. Hypertension, horrible. Okay? You need to be consuming less than 2,300 milligrams per day, and even less for children under the age of 14, which is, the children. Oh my gosh. We can't even talk about that right now, okay? We can't get distracted. American guidelines suggest less than 2 drinks a day for men, alcoholic drinks, okay? And less than 1 alcoholic drink a day for women. That is your personal prerogative, but other countries, their guidelines recommend much less consumption and much stricter alcohol guidelines. But alcohol is not it, guys, okay? Just, my opinion on that. Calorie diets are still, yes, based on 2,000 calories a day on average. Why? People like to say, oh, this is outdated, this isn't helpful, but that is what most Americans need to be consuming for their activities and lifestyle. When in actuality, most Americans are consuming around 3,800 calories a day. That is insane. That's such a excessive surplus beyond what you need to live a healthy lifestyle. And the issue is in the food choice, which again, I know that we're all not eating the things that we need to be eating because the data is so stark. So what should you be eating before I get into what I know all of you are actually eating and how you are living your lifestyles because of the data that we have every day? And this is going to blow your mind of just how far off you probably are from the daily recommendation for your food consumption. Per day, you need to be eating, for vegetables, 2.5 cups of vegetables a day. Yeah, I'm silent. Are you absorbing that? Okay. You're about to see where I'm heading. Yeah, so lock in. Are you getting 2.5 cups of vegetables a day? No? Okay. Problem. And before you're like, oh my God, that's too expensive. We'll get to that. We'll talk about that, babe. Number 2, you need to be eating 2 cups of fruit a day. These are averages again, right? Like this is considering men and women. And if you want the specifics for your age, height, weight, and gender, you can go look at the resource that I provide. It's at the very end of the document. It has each category and list as detailed as possible. For grains, only 6 ounces a day are recommended. For dairy, 3 cups. You need to be having 3 cups of diverse dairy options. Protein, you need to have at least 5.5 ounces of lean meats a day. That's not happening for a lot of people. And for oil per day, should not exceed 27 grams of oil a day. Okay? Yeah. All right, now here's the stark reality of why I know that you're not eating what you need to be eating to have the physique that you want, to have the health that you want, to have the weight management that you want. Almost 90% of the US population does not meet the recommended guidelines for vegetables. About 80% of the US population does not meet the recommendations for fruit consumption. Most Americans meet recommendations for total grain intakes, although 98% of them fall below recommendations for whole grains, and 78% exceed the limit for refined grain. Ugh. Okay. About 90% of the US population does not meet dairy recommendations. Intakes of protein foods are close to the target amount, but many Americans do not meet recommendations for specific protein subgroups. About 3/4 of Americans meet or exceed the recommendation for meats, poultry, and eggs. However, almost 90% do not meet the recommendation for seafood, and more than half do not meet the recommendation for nuts, seeds, and soy products. Again, it's important to have variety and diversity within your consumption. Only 23% of individuals consume amounts of saturated fats consistent with the limit of less than 10% of calories. More than 90% of women and 97% of men do not meet recommended intakes of dietary fiber. What? So you're telling me the average consumption across the board is not being met by a metric of basically 9 out of 10 people. 9 out of 10 people in America are underfed, undernourished, and over-consuming calories. Bad. Okay? And now before some of you are like coming at me, you're like, okay, this is Calorie Deficit University. I get like what we're talking about, but like, Alexis, I just want to lose some weight. Like, I understand I need to eat fruits and vegetables. Duh. I've been hearing that my whole life. I totally get it. But like, I thought that only calories matter for weight loss, right? Sure. Sure. Yes. At the end of the day, can you lose weight eating whatever you want? Yes, because when it comes to weight, moving the scale number alone, it is about an energy balance equation, okay? The less calories, the less energy you have, the more your body will use your mass, not just your fat mass, okay? Your mass to shrink down and use that energy to match the reduced energy inputs that you have. So a calorie deficit. If you eat less, you will lose weight. But most people don't want to just lose weight. Most people want to have their bone density preserved, their lean muscle mass preserved. Most people want to look a certain way, have a certain physique, have a certain shape. Most people want to have improved cognitive function, improved bowel movements, want to reduce their risk of colorectal cancer. Most people want to live a healthy, long, happy life. And a calorie deficit alone is not going to do that for you. And so if 9 out of 10 people are not meeting or getting anywhere near or close to the daily dietary recommendations for all important and vital nutrients, we have a problem. This is high alert, especially when it relates to fiber. Are you kidding me? There's an extreme rise and correlation between a lack of fiber in the diet and the rise in colorectal cancer in this country. It is bad. It is devastating, and it is affecting the youngest population, the younger population generation at mass. So I highly do not recommend that you only focus on a calorie deficit. That's why this is the Calorie Deficit University. It's here to learn and educate about how you can maximize and optimize your nutrition management to, yes, fit into a calorie deficit, to help you get into a calorie deficit, because largely all of those food groups have low calorie items. The only things that are really high calorie are going to be the oils, the fats category of seeds and nuts. Okay? But you need those. They're vital to healthy hormone function and mood regulation and sleep. You need healthy dietary fat to live your best life, to be your best self, and to feel satiated. So why should we care about what we eat? Okay, about 74% of adults are overweight or have obesity, and heart disease is the leading cause of death in America. Almost 11% of Americans have type 1 or type 2 diabetes, and 90% of adults with diabetes are also overweight or have obesity. Whoa. Like I said, colorectal cancer in men and breast cancer in women are among the most common types of cancer. Okay? 20% of older adults have reduced muscle strength. That's really bad. And adults over 80 years of non-Hispanic Asians and women are at the highest risk for reduced bone mass and muscle strength as they age. That is not good. Like I said, for health, for optimized healthy outcomes and a longevity, right? So living a long time, a healthy, happy, long life, you have to be worried about more than just the lowest number on the scale. You have to be concerned about your lean muscle mass, your bone density, and the only things that will support that over time is eating enough protein, lean meats, and dairy. And you can also have protein from soy or like vegetables. But you also need to be strength training because muscle is not made from no stimuli. You have to have muscle stimulation to signal to your brain that you need the muscle, that you need the bone density. And that has to be supported by appropriate nutrition management for recovery of those muscles and those bones. We don't move enough. We don't lift heavy things. We're becoming soft and squishy just like the food that we eat. Okay? And so my challenge to you would be when you're, sitting around being like, oh my gosh, like I just need to know what I need to eat to lose weight. Like all I want to do is lose weight. Everybody's on these GLP-1s and I just want to lose weight. And like, what do I need to be eating? I don't get it. And like, I think I've been eating in a healthy like deficit and a healthy diet. And I know that I've been on this and I know on that. First off, if you aren't losing weight and you think you're in a deficit, you're not. And that's okay. That's not a negative thing. That's not a moral thing. It's not saying that you're a bad person. It's just saying that you're not really great at tracking your food yet. And it takes practice and it takes time. The second thing to that is if you feel like crap, if your sleep is bad, if you're not having regular bowel movements, if you're irritable, if you're upset, you have to get real and get honest about your consumption. And what I like to do with my clients is I will go ahead from the tracked data of the food, I will add up what nutrient percentage is going where. So I'll pick out all of the things that are considered low nutrient profiles by the USDA. So usually it's like snack items, crackers, ice cream is another one, candies, cookies. I will add up all of those items and get a percentage of your caloric intake of your daily calories. And if that metric goes beyond 20% while you're at maintenance, then you do not have an overall healthy food diet that's meeting these recommendations. If you're, and that's, again, I said at maintenance. So 20% of those calories can come from those not high nutrient dense foods, okay? If while you're in a deficit, they're 20%, no wonder you feel like shit. When you have reduced calories, nutrient management is of the utmost importance. So you feel your best and you're preserving lean muscle mass. So, and also keeping you satiated and low brain fog and energized, okay, and good sleep health. And so we want to see that number come down. I usually like to have it anywhere from 5 to 10% for my clients. And then that's really for newbies. But for people who have dieted before successfully and know how to track their calories accurately, I want to see it like at 0%. Really, like basically none. And then what we'll do instead is plan what we call, like in bodybuilding world, we'll call it freebie meals or planned off meals, where you're not tracking anything for that meal and you're just kind of enjoying that time. And usually it's like a social event too, or something that re-energizes you to stay the course of having a really, really, really accountable and nutritionally on track consumption. And so again, my challenge would be to you, get real, get honest with yourself. Are you actually consuming what you say you're consuming? Because chances are you're probably not. Now, a lot of people ask me, hey, what do you think about like protein bars, protein shakes, things like that? I think that those items, while they are still considered more processed foods and not whole food sources, they do have a dietary purpose, okay, and a dietary reason, like a protein shake. For a lot of them, okay, there are some that are not, but for example, a Fairlife shake is actually just ultra pasteurized milk. So it is a whole food. It doesn't have any additives into it. It's just milk. And so it has more of the whey molecules, milk molecules to make it higher protein because they've taken out the fats. Okay. So those types of items, even like a delicious, yummy, chocolatey protein bar, that still counts. Yeah, dark chocolate still counts as a part of like a whole food diet. All of those things are fine. You just have to be realistic about your overall consumption, because I will see people get really caught up on being like, oh my gosh, am I tracking this right? But then they won't. Like they'll be like, oh my gosh, I don't think I'm tracking my meat right or my vegetables right, or that's my tracking must be off. And it's like, actually, no, what's happening is 30% of your consumption is going to candy and ice cream, and you feel really hungry all the time, and that's behaviorally impacting your overall consumption. And so changing the mindset towards, okay, I need to hit a threshold for myself, whatever that threshold might be based on your physique goals, your health goals that you decide with your practitioner, your, nutritionist or your personal trainer, whatever your professional coach or whatever might be, and try and meet those dietary guidelines as closely as possible from the USDA. It's really important. These guidelines from the USDA are based on the most amazing, cool, incredible, corny sciences. I say corny because I think it's fun and cool. Most people don't think it's fun and cool. I think human sciences, especially human life sciences, are very, very cool and educational and will help you understand yourself better. That this isn't about demonizing you or demonizing your food choice, but that there obviously is a fundamental issue in the messaging and desirability of food in this country. That corporations are the lord of the lands. They rule us. They rule our consumption, and that generationally we're not being taught what we should be eating to live our healthiest and happiest lives. So don't get discouraged, don't give up. Dig in deeper to yourself and know that you can do this, and start with one data point at a time. Thanks so much for tuning in today's episode. If you are ever interested in coaching, know that you can find me on the link that I will list in the podcast episode to sign up for coaching to help you succeed and live your best life. I always have, if I am fully booked, I have a coaching slot, like a wait list, but I try and get everybody in and meet their needs as best as I can. And I will catch you in next week's episode.